9 at Radio Free America, and this is Uncle Sam with music and the truth until dawn. Right now, I got a few words for some of our brothers and sisters in the occupied zone. The chair is against the wall. The chair is against the wall. John has a long mustache. John has a long mustache. It's 12 o'clock, Americans, another day closer to victory. And for all of you out there on or behind the lines, this is your song.
And welcome everybody. Hopefully the audio is doing all right. Give me some feedback on that if you would, and we'll jump straight into my screen share here. So we're going to be taking a look at what happened this week through the lens of my history feed. So I guess we'll go over to the YouTube here and we'll go to history, and this will be the stuff that I watched this week. And we'll go up and magnify this a little bit if we can. See how this works. So as everybody shows up and says hello, we'll be able to say hello back. I do value the interactive nature of the internet here, so thanks to the folks who join us live. That's why we do this live, to be able to have a conversation each week. Changing the times up a little bit. I'd rather do this at midnight because it's cool, but I fell asleep too early, so we're trying this a little bit earlier. Gizzard stopped doing his show on Friday, so give me some feedback on the time zones. We're broadcasting to both the YouTube, to X, and to Instagram, so everyone's welcome to be part of the show. Thanks for the feedback like that. And if I move this over, I think I can actually see the comments. Oh yeah, there's comments coming in. This new software that I'm using doesn't show me the comments until the thing goes live, but then I think I see all the comments, even the stuff you guys were, even the stuff that we were saying before the show went live. So Patriot is out there, first one, and we'll do the ninja outro at the end here. I'm still figuring out where all my, this show's been going on for like 1900 episodes or something, so I don't know where the beginning, where my old intros are. They're in my old software. I don't know if I can't really download them from that software, so I might have to clip them out of old shows or something. But I'm still getting my my pieces together here. Woods is out there joining us. Welcome. We'll see if anybody else joins us. Otherwise, it's just a show for the three of us. We'll just sit here having a conversation. There's a whole bunch of people joining on Instagram. I can see them. I'm not going to call them out because I think that's weird. But you're welcome to chat, be part of the show. It actually takes more effort than you can imagine. It's the most effort to be on Instagram. And I'll do it once or twice more. But if nobody says anything on Instagram, I'm not going to do Instagram lives anymore because nobody says anything over there. All right, so we're going to look at my history on YouTube, which is the only platform I'm aware of that shows a history of what you've looked at. They all record our history, we know that, but YouTube's the only one that displays it for ourselves so that we can go back and see what we've watched. And I don't know if you know that, but yeah, if you click on the little, I think some people call it a sandwich menu, hamburger menu, whatever you want to call this little menu. And if you click on that, history is one of the items here, and that's what we're looking at, is our history. So the last thing I looked at is the thing that we're in right now. I guess I was probably pausing it so that it didn't create feedback here. But then these aren't in any kind of chronological order at all. These just happen to be the order that I last looked at them, I think. But this first one is from Cape Gunworks, talking about the specific issue of licensing in firearms. So Toby does, of course, a couple of shows we'll talk about, a couple of 3 shows each week that we'll talk about. I think I was able to watch all of them this week. But this was a supplement to all that, and this was sort of to address this particular issue of licensing, which is, of course, bullshit. Then let's see if I can scroll over here. I just realized I need to be able to drink some water once in a while. Yep, for sure. So let's see. Click on this, I guess. Click on this. Nope. Is that not happening? How about I click on it?
Captain, a vessel approaching.
On screen.
We're being hailed.
Every weekend over at DrewWebsites.com, our online store, we have free Patch Friday. And that means that every order placed on our store... You don't have to watch the whole thing. I just needed to take a drink there. So then, let's see. This happened last year, not this year at SHOT Show. Not like a couple of weeks ago SHOT Show, or a month or two ago SHOT Show. But last year, so, 60 weeks ago SHOT Show. I guess it was after the Cry Party. Since the Cry Party, the last time I went to a Cry Party, it didn't end until 2 a.m. or something. So I assumed after the Cry Party, people went home. But I guess there are after events. But still, this was at the Circle Bar, which is like right outside of SHOT Show. Like when people leave SHOT Show, well, especially back in the old days, from 2010 until 2022, when you left SHOT Show, you either left out the front door, which was for buses and for cabs and for Ubers, because you really can't walk anywhere. You could there's really nowhere to walk from the front door. Or you walked out the casino, which took you out to the strip, and you would walk through whatever that casino. I think it actually takes you into 2 casinos as you leave the convention center. And somewhere right there where you leave the casinos or where you leave the convention center, there's a Circle Bar. So it's just a very close proximity to SHOT Show. So I assumed this event happened after SHOT Show, but before the party. But evidently it happened after the party. So very late at night, everybody was standing around at the Circle Bar, and this guy came up wearing the communist crap that the costume that the people were wearing at the Cry Party. And somebody called him a name and punched him. And when he punched him, he broke his jaw. And the guy who got punched is the guy sitting in the center of this thumbnail. And then the guy who punched him is a guy from Tier Tactical, company that makes nylon gear for military units. And, he's taken them to court and stuff, and it's just been a real ordeal. So, sort of a messed up situation, and there's been a couple of conversations about it this week. All right, moving on to Walk Talk America. Mike Sedini did an interview and I guess talked about his journey with Walk Talk America for about an hour. I'm not used to this. I have to flip back over to comment mode. I'm not be saying anything. I guess that's why I'm not seeing any comments. So Pam Bondi was, what does he say? I guess he says it's a good deal that she's going after who she's going after because it indicates who she's not going after. Is I guess what he was saying. So I think I actually take a different perspective on this whole thing. But this one was probably worth your time. A 9-minute video from Four Boxes Diner. We could have a conversation about that one. I remember enough about this video to know that I didn't agree with him on everything on his points, but I don't remember what the points are anymore from that particular video. Then we get Gun Owners America. This is about 14 minutes talking about the lawsuit with Mexico against United States gun manufacturers. Good, decent info. Talks a lot of specific information about the number of automatic firearms that go into Mexico, crime like cartels, and the countries that those firearms, those full auto firearms, come from. And they cite some things in that video, so it's worth your 14 minutes there. Let's see. Here's Crump with a call to action. I don't remember that video. Somebody remember what Crump's call to action was? I forget. I can't remember. Let's see. Then we have Four Boxes Diner talking about something that happened in Oregon. Uh-oh. I didn't know what happened in Oregon. What happened in Oregon? I didn't remember watching this video. Sometimes these things will show up in your feed because you're watching a video and it's the next video in line. And that doesn't mean I've watched the video, I guess. Then we get one from Psionics, company here in Arizona and here in Tucson. Let's see. I don't remember watching this one either. This one was super interesting. So, Lorson is the name of a company that was in the Ring of Fire. The Ring of Fire are incorrectly called Saturday Night Specials, but correctly they are the firearms that were created as a result of the banning of importation of Saturday Night Specials. So they never banned Saturday Night Specials as a country. They tried to in the States, but they did as a country make it very difficult to import certain guns that meet the requirements to be a Saturday Night Special. So that happened in 1968. After 1968, I can't be a Saturday Night Special anymore because the Saturday Night Specials were banned in 1968, right? So Lorson is a company that came along after and is an inexpensive, small caliber, concealable firearm, but it's not a Saturday Night Special. But here's a television show, Nightline, I think, from 1999, doing a story that's about 9 minutes long about the guy from Lorson. So Lorson is Lori and Cindy. Lorson is his two daughters, Lauren and Cindy. That's where he comes up with the name. And it's this guy, I can't think of his name right now, but he invented this company after his douchebag friend, Bruce Jennings, who's a bad person, invented his company based off of his dad's gun company. So these guys are not necessarily good people. They're interesting for sure. This guy's less of a bad person, less of an evil person than his brother, or not his brother, his friend. But this guy Lorson is the company that really gave the Ring of Fire companies a black eye due to poor management of his factories, I guess is the way to say it. So when you hear about Saturday Night Specials without serial numbers, you're probably hearing about Ring of Fire guns without serial numbers, and those are probably Lorson's because he allowed guns to be taken out of the factory without serial numbers. Or some people would say the CIA did that, but whatever. There are Lorson's without serial numbers that exist. So this is 9 minutes of him back in 1999 talking casually and candidly with the reporter from Nightline, and they're editing, of course, but he brings up some interesting points. It's definitely worth a chat. So if there's anybody that's watched this video or is interested in watching this video and then having a chat about it, this is a good one. You know, back in the olden days, maybe 6, 7, 8 years ago, we would have conversations in these live chats, and this is the kind of stuff that would be great fodder for a live conversation. Patriots asked before, I guess I'll put up this question. So I posted a question from U.S. citizenship test. Can't believe how many people are so crazy out there. Honestly, I don't think most high school graduates could pass that test. And then he posts a link to the test. Civics tests or citizenship tests are difficult. We don't live in a country where you have to learn it. And when that happens, then nobody goes out of their way to learn it usually. And then it gets forgotten. And then it's not appreciated. And then, you really have to deal with some issues with, culture or a community or whatever you want to call it, like a country. But, it's a good point. Speaking of Marines, though, we got Clint Smith did a tour of his office, 20-minute tour of his office. It's pretty interesting. Going around kind of pointing at things, chatting at things, talking about whatever. Let's see, then you have Masada Ayub. Good News Radio doesn't go live anymore, so on Sundays you can listen to a premiere of their recording, and this is a piece of one of those chunks. Like it's a chunk of that recording, I suspect. So it's 10 minutes of Masada Ayub talking about California's high-capacity magazine laws. I didn't watch this one, so it must have come up after I was watching the show on Sunday, maybe. I know it says yesterday. I don't know how it showed up yesterday. let's see. This is actually just a link to an old video we did. Does it say how many years ago? This is probably from the outdoor show 2010, 2009, something like that, in Salt Lake City. Judging from, if I remember right, where we did a Gearkeeper video, or where I did a Gearkeeper video. So these are tethers. These are the same kind of things like a janitor would have to keep the keys on the belt so that they're tethered and they don't get lost or whatever. So, except that this is more like what you might put on your vest so that your cell phone doesn't drop in the water if you're fly fishing. They do a lot of fly fishing stuff at this company. Anyway, I don't know why that came up. I think it probably came up because I was doing something with our GPS website. This was was this the first? I think this is just a Monday show of Gun Club Radio. I value live conversations, and this dude goes live, and he has a pretty good group of people that show up and chat and are interactive with the conversation or with the topics, I guess, or with the guests when he has guests on. And I like to see more and more people comfortable being live online. I feel that's a vital skill set, maybe, for our community, right? To be able to be live, not have to depend on a few people to be live when they feel like it and to say what they feel like or what they get paid to say. I think we're better off when regular people are able and comfortable and, not just comfortable, but like have experience having conversations live. So I'd love to see people not just going live, because I guess going live, somebody just wants to get famous or something, it's one thing, but bringing people on and doing something, getting a community going, it's awesome. Let's see. Speaking of going backwards in time, I don't know what I did. I think I was watching somebody's video, and it'll, when the video ends, you'll get like that Brady Bunch screen, and you'll see a bunch of different suggestions. And one of my videos came up as a suggestion. Here's the thing. Watch this video while you can. I go online every single time I go online now, and I'm not even kidding. I don't feel like opening up my emails here. But every single time I open up my emails, I should say, there's like 3 new videos that YouTube has dropped. So they are definitely, anybody who says they're not fucking with us is lying, because they are fucking with gun channels. I'm not doing nothing. Like, what do? I do a show on Friday. Tony and I do the show on Saturday. And every once in a while I put up a short or something. Like, I barely do anything. And they are yanking my videos down left and right. So anyhow, this one came up, so watch it while you can. It is from, I guess it says SHOT Show 2012. So second year at the Sands. This is in the law enforcement rooms. And back in 2012, I had already been going to SHOT Show for like 7 years, and most people hadn't even started going to SHOT Show, at least from YouTube and stuff. They didn't really start until 2014. And of course, they fucked it up for a couple years, so they didn't really start again until 2016. So in 2012, there was just a few of us going. So we kind of played zones. Like, I didn't bother looking at some things, most things, I guess. And other people didn't bother looking at AKs. And I only looked at AKs as much as, at least that's all I cared about looking at. And then this was at the U.S. Palm booth, who was sharing a booth with somebody over by Cry. So who was that booth? They were in a bigger booth, and they might have been Troy. Troy and Palm got along, right? And I can't remember, but they were in somebody's booth, and they just had like one glass cabinet in a booth. But Palm was from Phoenix or something. So we were like, hey, we're from Tucson. Can you show us that AK? And he brought it out and showed it to us. And it was I'm trying to remember now. It wasn't a mod. I think it was a gun. You had to buy the whole gun, or at least that was the idea. But it was an AK where they took the receiver and the barrel and made that into a threaded situation, and then they cut the threads, so they turned it into like a bayonet lug locking situation. So you could just sort of insert and twist the front end into the receiver of an AK, and you'd be good to go. But did you have to then put the dust cover on? Like, it wasn't, I don't know. No, the dust cover was part of the trunnion, so I think it did. effectively was a pretty cool little breakdown AK. And it never happened. I don't know what happened, but everybody's so clever, but the world can't make a breakdown AK. What's up with that? Patriot saying, I've lost under 300 videos. Oh, I've lost just under 300 videos. That is crazy, dude. And then Patriot says, they demonetized me back in November, and I finally got monetized back this week. Well, that's good to hear. Although, I mean, are we allowed to say how much we make on YouTube? We don't make a lot on YouTube. YouTube would pay my phone bill, my one phone bill, my AT&T phone bill, because I don't really have a lot going on there. So thanks to the viewers, they reliably, I don't know about reliably, I guess reliably, pay my phone bill each year or each month. But back in the olden days, it was more like all the bills plus buying toys all the time. Anyway, let's keep moving. Rapid fire, like I mentioned, Toby from Cape Gunworks goes live a couple of times each week. And on Wednesdays is the big show. That's what this is. And he had Pincus on for a while. They were talking about PDN and how they are what's going on in 2025. Then the second hour, or really like 3/4 of the show, was Carrie Ann, and Pincus was on. Oh, was he on for the first hour? I don't remember. But anyway, Pincus was on for a bit, and then Carrie Ann was on for the rest of the show. And of course, she's got a lot going on, being with Goals now, and taking on Sisters in Arms on her own. So she's doing that single-handedly now. There's Gizzard out there. Gizzard has Phantom mic scenario or syndrome. He's used to being on a microphone right now. Welcome. Let's see. Next up would be Dragon Man talking hot rods. There's a couple of Dragon Man videos in here. So let's take a moment and make sure that everyone realizes in 2025, I don't know what you got going on in your life, but you live in the era of Dragon Man. We've had some people in our time. So let's go back to Bannerman. There was a time when you could have gone to New York and hung out with a dude who bought every single thing from both sides of the Spanish-American War. When that war ended, everybody just dropped all their stuff, from what I understand. And then Bannerman just went out there and bought everything that was dropped on the ground. So he owned all the ammo, all the guns, all the tents, all the first aid stuff, all the food, everything from both sides, and brought all that stuff to New York. And he made a giant museum, and he had bought stuff since before, and he kept buying stuff after, but he owned a lot of stuff. And you could go meet Bannerman and hang out with them and chat with them. That was the Bannerman era. Then you go a little while later, and you got J.M. Davis, where he has the largest single private collection of firearms. And he starts to put those all around his hotel, and you can go stay at at J.M. Davis's hotel, and you could have met J.M. Davis and hung out. He's a cool dude from what everybody said. He's passed now, but of course, there was the era of J.M. Davis. Now you got Dragon Man. Most tanks, most vehicles, most machine guns, probably getting close to the most hot rods, I would say. He's at, did he say 29? No, 63. 63 hot rods on top of everything else he's got going on. He says at the end of this video, he's getting ready to expand his hot rod building. So you live in the era of Dragon Man. If you haven't gone and met Dragon Man, like, he meets everybody. Like, everybody that goes to the tours hangs out with Dragon Man. Like, you can hang out with Dragon Man. And you live in that era. Like, Dragon Man exists, and if you haven't gone to see Dragon Man, then that's your thing. You just have decided not to go see Dragon Man, but you could go see Dragon Man right now. He'll open up again in April for tours, but you can go there anytime. He's got his drag strips. He's got his oval track. He's got the paintball and the dirt bike tracks. Of course, the ranges and the gun shop. The tours of the museum and stuff starts up again in April. But then you can watch his YouTube videos and kind of live vicariously while you're not hanging out with Dragon Man. But I'm just saying, like, there's two groups of people in the world. people that have gone and met Dragon Man, and then there's the rest of the people that have decided not to go meet Dragon Man. You don't have to go meet Dragon Man if you don't want. You could be in that group of people that has decided they're not going to go meet Dragon Man. Let's move on to Tuesday. Tony and the crew do the Gun and Gear Review podcast. Talk about guns. Let's see. Then we got Rich White did a video on Unloaded Media talking about a place that scans your hand so they can do some kind of custom grip by scanning the bones in your hand. Pretty neat. I guess that was probably at the Pennsylvania Great American Outdoor Show. There's Patriot. So we got Patriot in the list, who's out there right now saying hey to Gary. You posted a couple of videos. This is your ebonizing the Marine Corps custom 1911 grips. And I do think those came out pretty decent. I've got the hiccup burps happening right now. So I don't know if I watched them and like I say, I don't know. I think they came out pretty cool. I've seen some stuff from Tallow. Yeah, it took me a minute to remember. I think it was Tallow special edition grips where they did a plywood, right? Like a laminate wood that was, speaking of woods, a laminate wood that was gray and black and white maybe. And I mean, it looked different because it kind of looked, laminated. It looked more, what's the word? It looked more like a pattern, but it gave me the same idea, same kind of feel as this, kind of a smoky, dark look. I dig it. So I don't know what kind of feedback you're getting on it. Woods is asking if they got the grip angle right. You can't dye away the grip angle of a 1911. It's just always going to be the perfect grip angle. So on Tuesdays, Toby goes live and hangs out with Grace Curley, who does a radio show in Boston. And I think that's cool because one, radio exists. People listen to it at work. There's the whole elevators and hallways and parking garages and stuff where you hear radio sometimes. Then there's cars. People will decide whether or not they're going to listen to a radio in the car. But now that my what's that thing called? My Cirrus broke, so I'm having to listen to the regular radio like a sucker. There's a lot of radio stations out there, and nothing at all about guns. And every once in a while, when you do hear about guns on the news or on some kind of political thing, is it good? Is it correct? Is it at least aware? No, it's none of the above. They hate guns. They hate our property. They hate gun owners. And they consider it in their fancy learning world, they think it's a badge of courage to be ignorant about guns. Not a badge of courage, a badge of honor to be ignorant about guns, right? It's annoying. So I think it's great that Toby is out there with real good info and then willing to meet with people on the radio. Moving down to Blue to Green, a dude that went from being a cop to, I think he's something in the normal, so the marijuana community. So he went from being police into the marijuana community. He's doing a podcast kind of over where Al and Anchor are, kind of halfway between Tucson and Phoenix, I think. And because it's local to here, and I like the approach that the guy's doing, I've been listening to this channel quite a bit, or at least whenever he posts stuff. I think I've watched everything he's done over there. He'll do a lot of interviews with police, and he just did another interview with a doctor. But in this one, he's talking about how because he talked to that doctor, YouTube, it's a doctor who uses, I can't remember the name of the thing. Some ketamine, is that the right thing? Some kind of drug to help people with issues. And they talked about it too much, I guess. And YouTube said, you can't talk about drugs that much. So we get hit with the gun stuff. Turns out doctors get hit with the drug stuff. Then we got Gizzard, who hosts a show. There's this guy right here. Hosts a show on Mondays called The Foul Territory, where Gizzard and the hens will cackle. Is that the right word? They'll get on their roost and gaggle. I don't know. What do chickens do? Gurgle. They gurgle for like an hour. Let's see. Then we have Ironclad inside the opioid industry. So this was, I don't know if I'm going to get them all in here, because the thing is, I listen to a lot of these shows on my cluck. There we go. Thank you. So they cluck together. They cluck around on Mondays. I watch some of these shows, a lot of these interviews, and I guess they're all interviews really, but I watch a lot of these interviews on the other computer, so they don't show up over here because I'm not logged in over there. So this one was good, but there were a lot of good ones this week, is I guess what I'm getting at. Again, I do not like Ironclad for about 3 different reasons, but I like Ironclad for all the other reasons, especially Borderland. And they did do the one anti-gun one. We're not going to let anybody forget that they did an anti-gun version episode, which they need to. I guess they're trying to not take a side politically either way. But I feel like when somebody's super ignorantly anti-gun, you have to get up and say something. But whatever. But I've learned a lot, I would say, this week. At least in the last 2 weeks for sure, but maybe even just this week. About cartels and the whole drug thing. This particular one is a great interview if you want to learn about the drug thing. So the fentanyl epidemic that we have right now, which if I'm understanding it correctly, has gone from 100,000 down to 75,000. So lots of reasons that might be, but I think everybody's happy to see that there's less deaths from fentanyl, but still 75,000 is a massive number. This guy in this conversation, I forget what day this was. This was earlier this week though. And it's a 37-minute conversation. So come on, what the hell, Borderland? Like, what does having the guy on for 90 minutes cost more or something? Like, come on, what the hell? So in this conversation, this guy talks about how, what was it called when the companies in Florida were allowing people from like somewhere up north to drive to Florida and just buy or write prescriptions and then go like kind of door to door, doctor to doctor, filling out these prescriptions. And that's how they would get their pills. And then they would go back to wherever they came from and sell pills. And this guy's saying that if somebody on the street was selling, how did he say it? Like if somebody was, I think he said it like if a pharmacist was fulfilling prescriptions and somebody walked up with 5 different prescriptions from 5 different doctors, that pharmacist would have an obligation to say, hey, what the hell, and not fulfill any of them, and then to make some kind of, announcement to somebody about it. But they'd have some sort of obligation to do something about that strange situation. He says, why come the companies that were selling to those pharmacists, when 1 week it would be 1,000 and the next week it would be 10,000, how come they didn't have an obligation? Well, they did, and they didn't do anything about that obligation. And he's like, how come the distributors who went from, Florida needed 1 million last month, but now they need 5 million this month? How come nobody raised an eyebrow when those numbers swole? And they did. So he made an interesting point there. And all right, I need to take another break and drink. Anyway, this guy makes some interesting points. This might be common for people that have like researched this, but it was new to me. And the idea that the pharmaceutical companies who basically made a bunch of money selling all these opioids to Florida, who then distributed it to the rest of the country, or facilitated the criminals distributing it to the rest of the country. Guess what I'm about to say? set the stage for the situation that we got today. I don't know if that's true or not, but it's certainly interesting. And a bunch of the states sued most of the drug companies that were part of that whole scenario and won. And that's how they pay for a lot of the infrastructure for the states that are most heavily hit. Anyway, so I thought that was interesting. So then you have this giant chunk of the country that's really into pills. The pill companies start to get slapped a little bit, people start figuring out, they didn't all go to jail or nothing, but they started to figure out what was going on and stopped it. So now you get a bunch of junkies who are jonesing for pills, opium pills, and cartels go, hey, you know what we got for you? It's called the F. I'm not supposed to say it. The Phenny. The ethanol, right? So anyway, I thought that was interesting. So you don't hear too much about the finer details or the I guess you'd call it the details of the whole drug situation. I don't know if that's the drug war really or the drug situation. I did a couple of videos this week, just cause every once in a while I like to do, not videos, I did a couple of blog posts this week. Netflix had Patriot is saying, see, it's already 9 o'clock and I'm falling asleep. Patriot is saying Netflix had a show on that that whole scheme. Don't remember what it was called though. You're talking about the whole like I don't know if it was even junkies, but like drug dealers that would go from, I don't know where it was, let's say Tennessee, down to like Florida, get like a car full of pills, literally like a garbage bag full of pills, come back to Tennessee or whatever and sell them. On the thing, I think they said it's $1 a megagram or milligram or whatever it is. So if a pill is 10, then that pill costs $10. And if it's 30 milligrams, then it's a $30 pill. And, of course, they're buying them for a lot less than that. And I think, if they're talking about that thing, that might be where I learned about it. It's not like I have some insight to the police or anything. I think I saw it on a show like that too. Or learned about it, I guess, on a show like that. So anyway, I wanted to do a blog post. So I looked back at some of my old videos and decided to do a blog post on this video from back in the day. Let's see, if I open it in a different window, I can get some insight on it without killing everything on this screen. There we go. So this video is from 44 Mag. Quit it. How come it won't scroll down? It's from 15 years ago, which means November 1st, 2009. I can remember going into the back room and setting up my piece of multicam. So this is my piece of multicam that I only got in 2008. So this was not even like a year old. So November of 2009, it would have been from early 2008. So it was going on 2-year-old piece of multicam. And I remember sticking it up back there. This was their like workshop, I guess, a workbench. So all behind here was all the tools that you see in a whole bunch of other videos. And I would take some magnets and jam them up there so that this piece of multicam would stay up. And then I'd put the tripod sort of behind me and point at the multicam. And that's how you get this like goofy view of these guns from like the weird side, not from the top and not from the side. It's like from an angle. And I just went to the shop, or I went around the shop and I picked all the dumb looking guns or the weird looking guns or the goofy looking guns and said, why not make that a video? And that was, like I say, in 2009. And does it say 980,000 views later? Like that thing, it's not quite 1 million views, but 980,000 people have watched that video. It's kind of neat. So anyway, I made that into a blog post. And you can go check that out on the Substack. That's where we put the blog. Patriot says, if you get a chance, can you drop a link to that Ring of Fire Nightline video at the end of the show? Yeah, I sure can. Let me figure out how to do that. Let me go up to where it was. wasn't this far. And then right click and copy link. That's the way to do it. I'll just drop the link right here, dude. That should show up as a link, right? Because it's my. I'm going to go do it in YouTube just to make sure. I did that first time in. Oh no, it showed up as a link, but I'll put it in here now anyway. What was that, Nightline? From 1999. There you go. But yeah, that's sort of the whole point of this, so that people can catch up with whatever was happening this week. Anyway, so then I did a blog post on that, and I don't know why the junk guns are up here. There's that Lorison thing again. I was doing a thing on I opened up the video on Bannerman because somebody may or may not have another Bannerman catalog coming. Every once in a while, I'll search eBay for stuff. Just when I'm bored or when I'm waiting for something, I'll just do it. Something will call to me. And there's a lot of Bannerman catalogs. They came out. I don't think they came out every year, but they came out a lot. So, and a lot they sent a lot of catalogs. But so I don't have all of them by any means. I think I have about 5 or 6 maybe, and then some other stuff that goes along with them, and then maybe 10 if you count reprints. But anyway, I got a real one coming, and I can't remember what year. I'll do a video when it comes in. But I cheated, and I just got it off of eBay. But it was, I think I'm going to call it like a $80 catalog I got for $20, $25. Maybe it was $32 with shipping. But it seemed like a good enough deal. And it was in such good condition that the other ones I see that are more expensive usually are shittier condition. And these things are made in, 1920 or 1908 really to like 1940. So the 1920s and 30s is when a chunk of them that are cool come out, and they're made out of like newspaper paper. So they really fall apart pretty quickly. Getting back to Sunday, we put out a lot of shorts. Let me give me some feedback on the shorts. It doesn't really cost nothing to do them. Well, it costs something to do them, I guess, but it doesn't really take much time to do them because I'm having robots do it. But they probably, you can tell robots are doing it, you know what I mean? So if it's a waste of time, let me know. I don't have to do them. Here's another one with Dragon Man. And it's neat watching a dude, one, who's Dragon Man because he's awesome for what he is and what he does. But the way he got to where he is to be able to do what he's doing is and I mean, I don't know nothing about this stuff other than watching his videos, but the prices he talks about does not seem like he's screwing people over. Like, he's just charging by the hour, and he's really good at what he does, so he does it. So anyway, he's talking about some of the things that he does when he, rebuilds a Harley. And in this case, I guess there's some serial numbers on a part that would require you to rebuild your bike completely or screw with an old bike. If you were to change this one part because it's damaged, it has the serial number on it, and there's consequences. So the ideal would be to repair this part, even though it's a core part of the engine, I think. And he shows how he takes a new part, chops it apart, so that he salvages the important pieces to rebuild the old part, and then he kind of shows how he builds that old part, along with about 8 other things in the 6 minutes. He's really cool about explaining the services that he does and how he got to where, maybe his how he got to his fixtures or whatever he might be using to accomplish the task he's doing. I imagine at some point, now that I'm saying that too, that there's so many things can go wrong on a Harley. Like, there's probably a range of things that can go wrong, And then in reality, there's probably a smaller subset of that does go wrong. And if you've been doing something like, as long as Dragon Man's been doing something like fix bikes, he probably knows how to fix the major problems really good because they happen all the time. And then there's those more obscure things that happen. So he probably, is really capable from just the repetition. All right, well, nobody's saying anything. So guess what? It's not punishment. It just means I can take a break from talking. And instead of having to read, I'll do this. Doesn't ever happen on time. What the hell?
Captain, a vessel approaching.
On screen.
We're being hailed.
Every weekend over at gearwebsites.com, our online store, we have free Patch Friday. And that means that every order placed on our store on Fridays is going to include at least one free patch. So that's every order with no coupons, no minimum order, no codes needed. You place the order on Friday, and when it arrives to you, it's going to have at least one free patch. Your support means a lot to us, and financial support is critical. So thanks again to the people who keep us online through purchases at gearwebsites.com. Oh, and it just keeps you on mute. So thanks to Foss for making that commercial for me. On a commercial for like 30 seconds, and then I started having a yawning fit. All right, so Instagram's still connected. A whole bunch of people over there. Welcome to the show. You're allowed to say stuff over there if you want. Then we get to Sisters in Arms, talking about episode 51. And then she'll do an episode 52 as part 2. At least that's what she said on Wednesday. And thanks to Clary Ann for continuing on doing the shows after episode 50. Let's see, then we have Steven destroying an 870. What? Watch that video if you want to hear the rest. We kind of mentioned Rich White earlier, but he does a show on Sundays. And Gizzard is usually on that show, right? Or often on that show, at least, along with other folks who may or may not be out there listening right now. And then we've got Toby does a third show each week. This time it's a radio show that he hosts out of Massachusetts, and that happens on Sunday morning for us, maybe afternoon for them. And that's about an hour. The Mouse Party happens on Saturday nights, and I'll encourage you to check that out. In fact, since I'm sitting here thinking about it, I should probably go check and see if anybody has posted something for tomorrow night so I can attach it to this show. And I think that's about it. The thing that I usually attach to this show is the Mental Health Matters show from Brooke Cheney, but I don't know if she's posted that yet. Then we got Tobilly doing the evening show on Saturdays, and I forget when that was, but Night Strike was playing with E Honda. Let's see, I guess we can keep going. This is Ironclad talking about some... do they say who the units are? I think they do say a couple of the units, but essentially people from the U.S., trained operators who go and work for the cartels. And, it makes it sound like, they woke up one day and said, hey, I want to go make some money. I don't care how I do it. I'm going to go work for the cartels. And this is really this is 6 minutes of the longer conversation that I listened to on the other computer, but you can seek it out on the Ironclad channel. But they go into, the realities of it is, through bribes or through extortion or through family relationships or something. Maybe like there's things that can be leveraged and essentially blackmail or that kind of thing can happen, or just holding people with some kind of leverage. And then they stand there and they stand there and they stand there. And the fifth time they stand there, somebody gets killed. And, then all of a sudden they're in. And it's not always that somebody was greedy and decided, anything is worth it. I have to succeed and I'll, at any cost, even if I have to work with cartels. But a lot of times it's, we'll take your family and we'll start doing stuff to them unless you, lend us your expertise. And the next thing you know, they're quote unquote working with or for the cartels. Anyway, it's not always that dramatic, but this guy talks about the various ways that things can happen or have happened. Let's see, then we get into Kaiser, doing some pretty nice looking fixed blade knives. And then we get Tony and I. Okay, now I'm definitely falling asleep. Tony and I doing the Ask Gun questions. I think let's be doing one tomorrow. I've got to go do some stuff in the morning. I've got people that are moving. So I'm sore and it's taken a lot of time just because, it is when people are moving. It takes some time to put the stuff onto a vehicle and then you got to drive somewhere and then you got to take some time to take stuff off a vehicle and whatever. So I think we're going to be able to work around that. And unless somebody's saying something, however many yawns I'm up to is the number of yawns I need to get to in order for me to cut the show. So thanks again to all the people watching over on the Instagram, although none of you said anything that I can see. I'm not missing anything, am I? Like, it would show up. I'm pretty sure I've seen it when somebody says stuff over there. Just nobody saying anything tonight. Thanks to Gizzard for moving time slots so I could go a little bit earlier this week and maybe in the future permanently. Let me know. Give me some feedback. Thanks to Patriot and to Woods. And am I missing anybody? I think that was it. There wasn't a lot of feedback in the comments tonight. We'll see you next time. See, that would have been smoother if I would have had this queued up so I could say, see you back on the flip flap. Dang it, how come these buttons never work? And that's we'll catch you on the rewind.
Shit. Ninja? Ninja! Ninja!
It's 11:59 at Radio Free America, and this is Uncle Sam with music and the truth until dawn. Right now, I got a few words for some of our brothers and sisters in the occupied zone. The chair is against the walls. The chair is against the walls. John has a long mustache. John has a long mustache. It's 12 o'clock, Americans, another day closer to victory. And for all of you out there on or behind the lines, this is your song.